Mercury enters Gemini on May 29, 2026, and will stay there until June 22. It is essential to note that these interpretations are based on sidereal or Vedic astrology, which accounts for the approximately 24-degree difference with the tropical zodiac. Gemini is Mercury's own sign. When a planet transits through a sign it rules, it operates without friction, it knows the terrain, it knows the rules, and it performs at its best. So for the better part of 4 weeks, the planet that governs how we think, how we speak, how we process information, and how we make decisions is functioning at full strength. That matters for everyone, regardless of your zodiac sign. To understand why this transit is significant, it helps to understand what Mercury actually represents in Vedic astrology. Mercury is not just about communication in a surface-level sense. It governs the quality of your thinking, how fast your mind works, how logically you approach problems, how well you can absorb and organize information. It also represents your skills, particularly the kind of skills that involve your hands, your words, or your analytical ability. Business thinking, marketing instincts, mathematical reasoning, writing ability, the capacity to negotiate, all of these fall under Mercury's domain. When Mercury is strong, these faculties sharpen. When Mercury is weak or afflicted, they become muddled. Right now, Mercury is strong, and the practical implication is that the collective mental environment between May 29th and June 22nd is sharper, faster, and more communicatively alive than it has been in some time. Gemini as a sign amplifies all of this further. Gemini is the third sign of the zodiac and is fundamentally about information exchange, communication, and connection. People born with strong Gemini placements are typically curious, talkative, multi-interested, and quick to adapt. During Mercury's transit through Gemini, these qualities become available to everyone. There is a collective restlessness in the air, a desire to learn more, talk more, move around more, ask more questions, and engage with more ideas than usual. If you have been feeling mentally sluggish or creatively blocked in the weeks prior to this transit, that tends to lift quite noticeably once Mercury settles into Gemini. What makes this particular transit especially eventful is the planetary company Mercury keeps during these weeks. At the very start of the transit, from May 29th to June 2nd, Mercury shares Gemini with both Venus and Jupiter. Jupiter moves into Cancer on June 2nd, and Venus follows on June 8th. But that early window where all three benefic planets are together in Gemini is genuinely significant. Jupiter and Venus are both natural benefics. They enhance whatever they touch. Having them alongside Mercury in its own sign creates a brief but powerful surge of intellectual, creative, and communicative energy at the very beginning of this transit. Decisions made, ideas launched, and conversations had during this opening window carry a particularly auspicious quality. From June 15th, the Sun enters Gemini and joins Mercury. It is a combination that enhances intellectual ability, sharpens communication, and gives a person the confidence to express their ideas with authority and clarity. During this transit, this yoga forms collectively in Gemini, meaning everyone benefits from a boost in mental confidence and communicative decisiveness in the final stretch of this transit period. One factor worth noting is that Rahu in Aquarius is casting its aspect on Gemini throughout this entire transit. Rahu's aspect on the sign where Mercury is transiting amplifies the mental energy to a significant degree. It makes curiosity more intense, the desire for information more urgent, and the pace of thinking faster. The risk that comes with Rahu's involvement is mental overload. There can be too many ideas, too many conversations happening at once, and a tendency to start multiple things without completing any of them. Staying focused and channeling this amplified mental energy towards specific, meaningful goals is the practical challenge of this transit. The overall tone of Mercury's time in Gemini is productive, stimulating, and rich with communicative opportunity. This is the period to write, to pitch, to learn, to negotiate, to connect, and to act on ideas that have been sitting idle. The mental environment is genuinely supportive, and those who engage actively with it rather than passively waiting for things to happen will find this one of the more rewarding transit periods of 2026. It's crucial to recognize Mercury symbolizes communication influenced by surroundings, mirroring how conversations reflect one's company. In essence, Mercury's transit triggers curiosity regarding matters related to the sign and house it traverses, prompting information gathering and sharing, aligning with Mercury's fundamental nature to communicate and exchange knowledge. To assess the impact of this transit, it's crucial to consider your ascendant and moon signs. The ascendant sign provides insights into the timing of life events, while the moon sign reveals how you'll emotionally respond to these changes. Consider the position of your current Mahadasha Lord in your birth chart, as it can shed light on how these transits will influence the recurring themes of your current dasha period. A more precise understanding of the impact of this transit can be gained by examining Mercury's Ashtaka Varga score in Gemini. Keep in mind that the effects of this transit will differ from person to person, contingent on Mercury's interaction with the planets in their individual birth charts, or its transit through the zodiac. It's also worth noting that individuals currently experiencing the influence of Mercury Dasha may feel the effects of this transit more intensely. It's important to remember that the effects of this transit will vary for each person. To understand how this transit may affect you based on your zodiac sign and the houses it transits, let's delve into those specifics. For Aries, Gemini falls in your third house. Mercury rules both your third and sixth houses, and during this transit it enters its own sign right in the house it naturally belongs to. This is one of the most aligned and naturally productive Mercury transits for Aries because the planet is in its own sign and in the house it feels most comfortable in. The main themes of these few weeks center on communication, information sharing, skill-based activity, short-distance travel, sibling relationships, and the ability to handle competition or daily challenges through sharp thinking rather than force. The third house is where Mercury functions at its most natural level. It covers how you think day to day, how you express yourself, the immediate connections you maintain with people around you, and the skills and interests that fill your daily mental life. With Mercury sitting in Gemini here, your mind runs faster and with more clarity than in most other periods of the year. Ideas come more easily. Conversations flow without much effort. You feel a genuine pull to write things down, reach out to people, share information, and get your thoughts organized and out into the world. If you have been putting off any written communication, a proposal, a pitch, a piece of content, an application, or simply a long overdue message to someone, this transit removes the mental friction and gives you the words and clarity to move forward. Because Mercury is also the lord of your sixth house, it carries sixth house energy with it into the third house during this transit. The sixth house is about competition, opponents, obstacles, daily work demands, and the ability to navigate difficulty with strategy. When this energy enters the third house, your communication takes on a more calculated and purposeful edge. You are not talking or writing just for the sake of it. There is a sharpness behind what you say, a sense of knowing exactly what you want to achieve with your words. This makes the transit particularly useful if you are dealing with a workplace conflict, a professional rivalry, a negotiation, or any situation where you need to present your case clearly and come out ahead. You will be able to articulate your position with precision and make a compelling argument without being unnecessarily aggressive. At the very start of this transit from May 29th, Venus and Jupiter are also in Gemini alongside Mercury, briefly creating a Sarasvati Yoga right in your third house. This lasts until June 2nd when Jupiter moves into Cancer, followed by Venus on June 8th. During that short window, your communications carry an extra quality of warmth, creativity, and inspired thinking. Business ideas that surface during these first few days have a particularly good foundation. Outreach done in this early window lands better than usual. If there is a creative proposal, a business concept, or an important message you need to send, doing it in late May or the very first days of June gives it the benefit of this elevated planetary combination. From June 15th, the Sun moves into Gemini and joins Mercury in your third house. Your communication style becomes more assertive, confident, and direct during this second phase of the transit. You are less likely to hold back your opinions and more willing to speak with authority. This energy works well in professional conversations where you need to assert your position or demonstrate leadership through words. The caution during this phase is to not let the Sun's fire make your communication confrontational, particularly with siblings or people in your immediate environment who are also being direct. Clarity and confidence are the right use of this energy. Aggression is not. Rahu in Aquarius aspects your third house throughout this entire transit, adding an ambitious, restless, and unconventional quality to all the communication and mental activity Mercury is generating. You may find yourself drawn to topics you have never explored before, reaching out to unexpected contacts, or feeling like you want to do something bigger or different with your ideas. This can be genuinely productive when channeled into learning or skill building. The practical risk is taking on too many ideas and directions at once and spreading yourself too thin. Keep a list, prioritize clearly, and focus on the one or two directions that have the strongest real-world basis. Professionally, this transit is excellent for anyone whose work involves writing, marketing, sales, teaching, counseling, client communication, media, or outreach. Meetings and presentations during this period run more smoothly. Short business trips or local travel for work purposes are supported. Even if your work is primarily technical or physical, your ability to explain your process, advocate for your needs, and collaborate with people around you improves significantly. If you have been waiting to pitch an idea or put yourself forward for something, this is the right window. Financially, the third house transit is not a passive wealth transit. It supports income that comes through active effort, skill, and outreach. If you have a freelance ability, a creative skill, or a talent that generates income when you actively promote it, this is the time to do that promotion. Mercury bringing 6th house energy also makes you more precise and careful about day-to-day financial management and small expenses. In your personal life, younger siblings, cousins, neighbors, and people in your immediate environment become more communicative and present during this period. Old conversations get picked up again. New ones start easily. This is naturally one of the more social, locally connected periods of the year for Aries. Health-wise, the 6th house energy Mercury carries into the 3rd means you will think more actively about daily wellness habits. Reading about fitness, nutrition, or adjusting your daily health routine is very likely. Acting on those intentions rather than letting them stay as plans is the practical use of this energy. Overall, this Mercury transit in Gemini is an active, high-output communication period for Aries. Your mind is working at its sharpest, your words carry genuine impact, and your ability to push forward through smart effort and clear expression is as strong as it gets during the year. Use these weeks to speak up, reach out, close open loops, and get the ideas out of your head and into the world. For Taurus, Gemini is your 2nd house. Mercury rules both your 2nd and 5th houses, and during this transit it enters its own sign in the house of wealth, speech, family, and accumulated resources. The thinking and communication energy of this period turns directly toward financial matters, the quality of your speech and self-expression, and the dynamics within your immediate family. The 5th house energy Mercury carries with it adds a creative and analytical quality to everything, making this a period of smart financial thinking, education-oriented decisions, and skilled, purposeful expression. The 2nd house is about how you handle money, how you communicate, your relationship with your immediate family, and the resources you are building over time. Mercury transiting here in Gemini makes your mind highly active around all of these subjects. You become noticeably more calculative about money. You want to know exactly where things stand financially, what is coming in, what is going out, and where improvement is possible. This is not a careless or impulsive financial period at all. It is more of a careful, number-crunching phase where you are mentally engaged with your finances in a focused and practical way. If there are accounts to review, budgets to finalize, investments to research, or financial decisions that have been put off, this transit gives you the mental clarity to address all of them with a steady head. Your speech also becomes more fluent and thoughtful during this transit. Mercury in Gemini in the 2nd house makes you a naturally skilled conversationalist, and the people around you will notice that your ability to explain things clearly, communicate practical information, and handle discussions about value and resources is sharper than usual. This quality is particularly helpful in professional situations where you need to negotiate terms, make a financial case, or communicate your value persuasively. If your work involves any form of financial dealings, trade, sales, or any conversation about value and pricing, this transit supports those areas directly. The 5th house energy that Mercury carries into the 2nd adds an important dimension to the financial picture. The 5th house governs education, creativity, children, intelligence, and speculation. When Mercury brings this energy into the 2nd house, your mind becomes curious about investment opportunities, creative income sources, and financial education. You will want to learn more about how money works, explore investment options, and find smarter or more creative ways to build your financial position. This is a good period to research investment options, take a course in financial management, or explore a creative skill that can generate income. That said, the 5th house also governs speculation, so while the curiosity about investment is well supported, any actual financial decision should be based on solid research and real analysis rather than enthusiasm alone. At the beginning of this transit from May 29th Venus and Jupiter are in Gemini alongside Mercury, briefly creating a Saraswati Yoga in your second house. This combination in the house of wealth is genuinely positive for a short window. Financial conversations during these first few days, income opportunities that surface, or well-considered financial decisions made in late May and the very first days of June benefit from the combined quality of all three benefic planets in your wealth house. Jupiter moves to Cancer on June 2nd and Venus follows on June 8th, dissolving the full three-planet combination, but Mercury continues alone in Gemini, still in its own sign, carrying the overall quality of the transit forward. From June 15th, the Sun joins Mercury in Gemini in your second house. Your speech becomes firmer and more authoritative during the second phase. You communicate your financial needs and opinions with more directness and are less likely to settle quietly for less than you deserve. This is the right energy for salary negotiations, client billing discussions, or any situation where you need to assert your financial position clearly. Conversations within the family about money, shared household expenses, or financial planning can also become more direct and active during this period. Handle these with clarity and patience rather than letting them escalate into arguments. Rahu in Aquarius aspects your second house throughout this transit, amplifying the desire for financial growth and bringing in the possibility of unconventional or unexpected income. Rahu's aspect on the second house can create opportunities that come from unusual directions or through channels outside your normal income structure. These can be real and worth exploring. Rahu in the second by aspect can also create a tendency to make impulsive spending decisions or to be attracted to high-promise financial ideas without enough scrutiny. Use Mercury's analytical energy as a check on that impulse. Professionally, this transit benefits anyone whose work is connected to finance, trade, banking, sales, writing, communication, or anything involving the exchange of value. If you are in a position to negotiate better financial terms for your work, this is one of the better periods in the year to do it. Your confidence in communicating your value is backed by genuine mental clarity and fluency. For family relationships, the second house activation by Mercury increases communication within the home. More conversations, more discussions about practical family matters, and possibly some family financial decisions that need collective attention will come up. Mercury in its own sign here means these discussions can be handled intelligently and productively rather than becoming emotionally tangled. In terms of children and education, the fifth house lordship Mercury carries means that if there are children in your life, their education or activities may become a talking point during this period. For those who are students themselves, the transit supports sharp thinking and clear expression of knowledge. Health-wise, the second house governs the face, mouth, and throat. Minor throat or dental matters may attract your attention during this transit. Being mindful of what you eat and drink, as the second house also relates to diet and food habits, is practical during this period. Overall, this Mercury transit in Gemini is primarily a financial and family communication transit for Taurus. Your thinking around money becomes more precise, your speech becomes more effective, and the creative analytical intelligence Mercury brings from the fifth house makes this a genuinely productive period for financial learning, income development, and practical household discussions. For Gemini, Mercury transiting your own first house in your own sign is a personally significant and energizing period. Mercury is the lord of both your first and fourth houses, and when it transits Gemini, it is in its own sign in the house that directly represents your identity, your mind, and your personal presence. Your mental energy, communication ability, curiosity, and personal clarity are all amplified during this transit. The fourth house energy Mercury carries with it means that home, domestic life, and matters of emotional security quietly run in the background of everything that becomes more active and outward-facing during this period. The first house represents your identity, your physical presence, your approach to life, and the energy you project outward. Mercury transiting here makes you unusually sharp, quick-thinking, and expressive. Your natural curiosity increases. You want information, you want conversation, you want to learn things and talk about them with people who can match your pace. People around you will notice that you seem more mentally alive and communicative than usual. Your ideas come faster, your words land more precisely, and your ability to navigate conversations with wit and adaptability is at a seasonal high. This is an excellent period for personal visibility, networking, social media presence, or anything that involves putting your thoughts and personality in front of others. Mercury in the first house in its own sign makes your words particularly effective for self-presentation. If you have been working on building a reputation, a professional platform, or simply trying to make a stronger impression on the right people, these few weeks are among the best of the year for that effort. The communication flows naturally and the mental energy is consistently available. Mercury also rules your 4th house, which governs your home, mother, emotional foundations, real estate, and inner sense of security. When Mercury transits the 1st house, it draws 4th house themes into your personal awareness in a natural way. You may find yourself thinking more about your living situation, having important conversations about your home, or dealing with family-related communication that comes to the surface and requires your attention. There can also be a genuine interest in learning about property matters, home improvement, or making changes to your domestic environment. Conversations with your mother or a maternal figure may become particularly significant or active during this period. At the beginning of this transit from May 29th, Venus and Jupiter are also in Gemini alongside Mercury, creating a brief Sarasvati Yoga in your 1st house. For Gemini, having this 3-planet combination directly in the sign of your identity is a personally radiant and intellectually elevated short window. Your communication, creative expression, charm, and self-confidence are all working together at a high level during these first few days. This is an ideal window for meeting new people, making strong first impressions, launching personal projects, or putting your ideas in front of an audience. The full 3-planet combination lasts until Jupiter leaves for Cancer on June 2nd, and Venus follows on June 8th, but the quality of this opening period is worth using actively. From June 15th, the Sun moves into Gemini and joins Mercury in your 1st house. Your communication becomes noticeably more confident and authoritative during this 2nd phase of the transit. You speak with conviction, are less inclined to second-guess yourself, and carry a visible solar quality in how you present yourself publicly. This makes you more noticeable in professional and social settings and is particularly useful for anyone who needs to take a visible leadership role or put their name forward. The slight caution is that the Sun in the 1st house can make communication a bit ego-forward at times, particularly if others are not as forthcoming or direct as you are during this period. Balance your confidence with genuine openness to what others bring to the conversation. Rahu in Aquarius aspects your 1st house throughout this transit, adding ambition, restlessness, and an unconventional drive to your personal expression. You may feel pulled to do something new, reach a different kind of audience, or take your ideas somewhere bigger. For Gemini individuals in media, content creation, writing, teaching, or public-facing roles, this combination of Mercury in the 1st and Rahu's aspect is genuinely useful for increasing your reach and visibility. The caution is that Rahu can make you want to pursue too many directions simultaneously. Focus on the one or two that have the clearest path forward. Professionally, this is an excellent transit for any work that involves communication, writing, content creation, marketing, consulting, journalism, education, or client-facing interaction. Your ability to articulate your work, advocate for yourself, and build professional relationships through conversation is improved across the board. If there is a professional initiative or role you have been wanting to step into, this is the transit window to put yourself forward. Financially, the 1st house Mercury transit is not a direct wealth period, but because Mercury rules your 4th house, property-related financial discussions or decisions may surface. Whether that involves rent, home ownership, renovation plans, or decisions about where you live, Mercury's own sign clarity in the 1st house supports making well-informed and clearly considered choices in these areas. In your social life, this is naturally one of the most engaged and connected periods of the year for Gemini. You want to talk, exchange ideas, and connect with people. New connections form easily and old relationships deepen through more meaningful conversation. Health-wise, Mercury in the 1st house brings mental alertness and a light, energetic quality to your presence. The one thing to watch is that high mental activity can tip into overthinking or low-level nervousness if not balanced with physical movement and adequate rest. Overall, this Mercury transit in Gemini is a high point period for Gemini across communication, personal presence, and self-expression. Your words, your ideas, and your personal energy are all functioning at their best. Be visible, communicate boldly, and use these weeks to push forward on anything that depends on your intelligence and expression being at their sharpest. For Cancer, Gemini is your 12th house. Mercury rules both your 12th and 3rd houses, and during this transit it enters its own sign in the 12th house. The 12th house is the house of isolation, foreign matters, spiritual learning, behind-the-scenes activity, sleep, expenditure, and things that happen away from public attention. This is not the most outwardly visible Mercury transit, and understanding that clearly at the start makes a big difference in how you navigate it. The energy of this period turns inward and behind the scenes rather than outward and visible, but for the right kind of focus, private work and thinking, this can be a genuinely productive and meaningful few weeks. The 12th house is not about public achievement or direct recognition. It is about what happens in private, what you process internally, what you research quietly, and what you work on without immediate external results. With Mercury transiting here in Gemini, your mind becomes highly active in all of these behind-the-scenes areas. You may find yourself spending more time in focused solitary thinking, doing research, writing privately, or working on tasks that do not produce immediate visible outcomes but build towards something longer term. If your work involves research, writing, investigation, documentation, spiritual study, or independently managed projects, this transit supports all of that very well. The thinking is quiet, but it is sharp and productive for those who know how to work with it. Mercury also rules your 3rd house of communication, short travel, and personal courage. When it transits the 12th house, the 3rd house energy creates an interesting dynamic. Your communications during this period tend to happen in more private, less public settings. Not in large meetings or open forums, but in one-on-one conversations, written correspondence, and discussions that involve sensitive or confidential matters. You communicate with more care and deliberateness than usual. Less chatter, more precision. The 12th house also governs foreign connections and foreign lands. Mercury transiting here very commonly increases written communication with people who live abroad, brings in opportunities from overseas, or activates thinking about foreign travel, relocation, or international work. Email correspondence with foreign clients or partners can increase noticeably, and if your work has any international dimension, this transit tends to activate those channels. Even for those without an obvious foreign connection, there is often a sense during this transit of reaching outward beyond your usual boundaries, whether geographically or intellectually. At the beginning of the transit from May 29th, Venus and Jupiter are briefly in Gemini alongside Mercury, creating a Sarasvati Yoga in your 12th house. A 3-benefic combination in the 12th house is quietly powerful. It does not produce loud, outward results, but it can bring a period of deep learning, meaningful spiritual practice, creative work done in private, or a significant connection with someone at a geographic or emotional distance. If there is writing, spiritual inquiry, or behind-the-scenes creative work you have been wanting to do, these opening days of the transit carry a special quality for that kind of effort. From June 15th, the Sun joins Mercury in Gemini in your 12th house. The Sun in the 12th can feel slightly draining on outward energy, as the 12th house naturally asks for withdrawal rather than performance. With Mercury alongside it, your mental clarity remains active even as your social drive dips. Focused solitary work, serious writing, deep research, or spiritual practice becomes more appealing and productive than surface-level busyness during this final week of the transit. Respect that shift in energy rather than pushing against it. Working alone with concentration during this phase produces better results than forcing public-facing activity. Rahu in Aquarius aspects your 12th house throughout this transit. For Cancer, Aquarius is your 8th house, and Rahu from the 8th house aspects the 12th house through its 5th aspect. This amplifies themes of foreign connection, unconventional private pursuits, and a strong pull towards subjects that are hidden, mysterious, or outside everyday mainstream experience. Some Cancer individuals may find this period draws them into psychology, hidden research, foreign cultures, spiritual traditions, digital work that spans borders, or investigation into something that has been quietly bothering them for some time. Professionally, Mercury in the 12th is most productive for work done independently, work that requires deep focus without constant social interaction, and work with an international or behind-the-scenes dimension. Writers working on longer projects, researchers, analysts, therapists, spiritual practitioners, and people working with foreign clients or remote teams all benefit from this transit. If your work requires constant group interaction or high visibility, this period may feel slightly less energized for those specific tasks. Shifting toward more independent, focused work wherever possible is the more effective choice during these few weeks. Financially, the 12th house governs expenditure. Mercury transiting here with 3rd house energy means you will be mentally active about where money is going out. This awareness is useful for auditing recurring expenses, reviewing spending patterns, and being more deliberate about costs related to travel, private matters, or spiritual activities. This is not primarily a period of income growth, but it is a genuinely good time to reduce unnecessary financial outflow through careful, deliberate review. In personal relationships, Mercury in the 12th can mean that some of your most significant interactions during this period happen through distance or written communication rather than in person. Conversations with people far away, or a reconnection with someone you have not been in close contact with recently can surface. Health-wise, the 12th house governs sleep, rest, and recovery. Mercury transiting here can increase mental activity at night, sometimes disrupting the quality of sleep. Being intentional about slowing your mental activity in the evening, reducing screen use before bed, and creating genuine quiet time for your mind is practical and important during this period. Overall, this Mercury transit in Gemini is a quieter, more inward period for Cancer. The productive use of this energy is in research, private writing, foreign connections, and behind-the-scenes focused work. Those who embrace the private, concentrated nature of this transit will get significantly more out of it than those who try to force outward energy that simply is not as available right now. For Leo, Gemini is your 11th house. Mercury rules your 11th house with Gemini and your 2nd house with Virgo. During this transit, Mercury enters its own sign in the house of gains, professional networks, income from multiple sources, friendships, and the fulfillment of larger goals. This is one of the more financially and socially active Mercury transits for Leo, and the results will be felt across your income activity, networking engagement, and the quality of your interactions with friends, professional contacts, and the wider social and community circles in your life. The 11th house is about earnings, the fulfillment of ambitions, professional networks, elder siblings, and the people you associate with in collaborative or group settings. Mercury transiting here in Gemini activates all of these areas with sharp, calculated, communicative energy. You become more focused on income, more analytical about your professional positioning, and more active in reaching out to and maintaining relationships with people who have a meaningful connection to your goals. If you have been thinking about approaching someone in your professional network for an opportunity, a collaboration, or an introduction, this transit is a well-supported window to do so. Your ability to reach out effectively and present your ideas in a way that genuinely resonates with people is noticeably enhanced. The 2nd house energy that Mercury carries into the 11th creates a strong financial thinking dimension to this transit. The 2nd house governs personal wealth and speech, and when that energy flows into the 11th house of gains, your mind becomes actively focused on income growth and financial optimization. You will find yourself analyzing your earning patterns, thinking about additional income streams, and making practical assessments of where your professional efforts are returning real value and where they are not. This is an excellent time for salary negotiations, pricing reviews for self-employed Leo individuals, or any financial conversation with a business partner or employer. You have the words and the numbers clear in your mind, and that combination is persuasive. At the start of the transit from May 29th, Venus and Jupiter are briefly in Gemini alongside Mercury, creating a Sarasvati Yoga in your 11th house. A 3-benefic conjunction in the house of gains is a concentrated and positive short window for income and networking. Financial conversations with well-connected people, collaborative ventures, or introductions through your professional network that happen during these opening days in late May and very early June carry particularly good potential. Jupiter moves to Cancer on June 2nd and Venus follows on June 8th, ending the full 3-planet combination, but the underlying Mercury transit continues through June 22nd. From June 15th, the Sun moves into Gemini and joins Mercury in your 11th house. The 11th house with both Sun and Mercury becomes a strong placement for professional visibility within your social and professional groups. You are more assertive about claiming your place within networks, more willing to voice your goals openly, and more direct about conversations involving income, recognition, and collective contributions. This second phase of the transit is particularly useful for Leo individuals whose professional success is tied to their standing and reputation within a specific community or industry circle. Rahu in Aquarius sits in your 7th house and aspects your 11th house of Gemini throughout this transit. Rahu's influence on the 11th house adds intensity and an unconventional quality to your income pursuits and networking activity. You may connect with people from unexpected or non-traditional backgrounds, explore income opportunities from sources you would not normally consider, or find that your most productive professional connections during this period come from outside your usual circles. Rahu's amplifying nature on the 11th can bring in significant opportunities, but it also requires discernment. Not every exciting-sounding Proposition Rahu presents will have the substance to last, so evaluate carefully before fully committing. Professionally, this transit is excellent for Leo individuals in networking heavy roles, client acquisition, community building, social media management, or any work where building and maintaining relationships is directly tied to professional results. Your ability to communicate within group settings, lead conversations in collaborative environments, and stay present and visible in your relevant professional communities is at a seasonal high. Even for Leo individuals in more solitary work, actively reaching out to professional contacts and maintaining visibility in your communities creates genuine openings during this transit. Financially, the combination of Mercury as both 2nd and 11th Lord transiting the 11th house in its own sign is a strong income indicator. Additional income channels, gains through professional relationships, and forward movement on financial goals are all supported during these few weeks. It does not mean money arrives without effort, but it does mean that effort put into income-generating activity during this transit window produces more visible returns than in quieter periods of the year. Your relationships with friends, elder siblings, and people in your wider social circle become more communicative and active. Collaborative plans may come up, social events may draw you into new or expanded circles, and conversations with long-standing contacts take on a more purpose-driven quality. Your natural Leo warmth combined with Mercury's communicative sharpness makes you a natural connector of people during this period. Health-wise, the 11th house transit is not a period of particular health concern. Mercury carrying 2nd house energy brings some attention to diet, eating habits, and the practical daily routines around nutrition. Reading about or making conscious adjustments to how and what you eat is a theme that comes up naturally during this transit. Overall, this Mercury transit in Gemini is a strong social, financial, and networking period for Leo. Your income-related thinking is sharp, your professional network is active and productive, and your ability to communicate your value and goals within the communities that matter to you is well supported. Use these weeks to reach out, speak up, and actively work toward the income and collaborative goals that have been forming in your mind. For Virgo, Gemini is your 10th house of career, public reputation, authority, and professional identity. Mercury rules both your 10th house with Gemini and your 1st house with Virgo, making it one of the most personally significant planets in your chart. When Mercury transits its own sign in your 10th house, this is one of the most professionally important transit periods in the year for you. The main themes are clear: career communication, professional visibility, public reputation, and the ability to express your skills and intelligence in a way that the right people notice and reward. The 10th house is where your public and professional life is anchored. Mercury transiting here in Gemini means your mind is oriented toward your career with consistent focus during these few weeks. You are thinking about your professional direction, your reputation, your goals, and how to position yourself for advancement. Your communication within professional context is sharper and more effective than usual. Presentations, meetings, professional emails, negotiations, and client-facing conversations all benefit from the clarity and precision Mercury brings to the career house. If you have been waiting for the right moment to step forward professionally, to push for recognition, or to launch something important at work, this transit provides the mental tools to do it well. Mercury is also the lord of your 1st house, meaning it carries your personal identity and self-expression into the 10th house during this transit. The result is a period where there is noticeably less gap between who you are personally and how you show up professionally. That authenticity comes through clearly to the people around you and makes it easier to build trust in professional relationships and to present your capabilities without unnecessary filters. At the very beginning of this transit from May 29th, Venus and Jupiter are also in Gemini, briefly creating a Sarasvati Yoga in your 10th house. A Sarasvati Yoga in the career house is a genuinely powerful short window for professional recognition and opportunity. Any initiative, proposal, presentation, or application made during the opening days of the transit in late May and the very first days of June benefits from the combined energy of all 3 benefic planets in your career house. The quality of your professional presence and the reception you receive from decision-makers and authority figures during that window is elevated above the usual. This window closes when Jupiter moves to Cancer on June 2nd, so being professionally active and visible in the very opening days of the transit is worth making a priority. From June 15th, the Sun enters Gemini and joins Mercury in your 10th house. The Sun in the 10th is a classic career strength position, and with Mercury alongside it, your ability to communicate with authority, lead with clarity, and make a visible and memorable impact in your professional sphere is at its highest during this period. This second phase of the transit is particularly strong for interactions with senior figures, institutional dealings, work with government or large organizations, and any situation where you need your credibility and competence to be immediately apparent. Rahu in Aquarius aspects your 10th house throughout this transit, adding strong ambition and an unconventional quality to your professional pursuits. Aquarius is your 6th house for Virgo, and Rahu from the 6th house aspects the 10th through its 5th aspect. You may find yourself drawn toward non-traditional career paths, attracted to technology-driven or innovative approaches to your work, or feeling a strong internal push to do something on a larger or more original scale professionally. Channeling this Rahu-influenced ambition alongside Mercury's precision and clarity is a productive combination. The caution is overcommitting to too many professional directions simultaneously, which can dilute the effectiveness of each. Professionally, this is one of your strongest transit periods of the year without qualification. Virgo. Individuals across all fields benefit, but particularly those in writing, communication, education, analysis, consulting, technology, and any client-facing or knowledge-based role. Your analytical precision comes through more visibly in your work, and the standard you hold your own output to is naturally higher during this transit. This is a good window for taking on projects that require careful thinking, detailed communication, and skilled execution. Recognition for work already done is also more likely during this period, particularly from June 15th when the Sun-Mercury conjunction adds additional professional visibility. Financially, Mercury as both 10th and 1st Lord transiting the 10th house in its own sign creates a direct link between professional performance and financial reward. Salary discussions, pricing decisions, client billing, and financial conversations with employers or clients are all well supported. You will not easily accept less than what you know your work is worth during this transit, and that quiet firmness in financial negotiations is productive. In relationships, the strong career focus of this transit means your most significant interactions during these weeks will naturally lean professional. Personal relationships may feel slightly secondary to professional momentum, which is a normal and temporary shift in energy when Mercury is so actively placed in the career house. Health-wise, Mercury ruling the 1st house and transiting the 10th means your physical energy is closely tied to your professional life. The career momentum boosts mental alertness, but an excessive workload can create strain. Maintaining physical routines alongside the professional push is important for sustaining energy across the full transit period. Overall, this Mercury transit in Gemini is a career and professional peak for Virgo. Your intellect, communication ability, and professional presence are all functioning at a high level. The Sarasvati Yoga in the opening days and the Sun-Mercury conjunction from June 15th create two distinct peaks within the transit. Show up fully in your professional life during these weeks. The planetary support for recognition and advancement does not arrive with this kind of clarity every transit period. For Libra, Gemini is your 9th house. Mercury rules your 9th house with Gemini and your 12th house with Virgo. The 9th house represents higher learning, teachers and mentors, long-distance travel, foreign connections, religious and philosophical inquiry, good fortune, and your connection to the wider world beyond your immediate environment. With Mercury transiting its own sign in the 9th house, this period activates your hunger for knowledge, your desire to learn from experienced people, and your intellectual engagement with ideas and subjects that go beyond the local and the practical. Mercury in the 9th house makes your thinking more expansive and curious about big-picture subjects, but since Mercury is fundamentally about communication and information gathering, it keeps things active and applied rather than purely philosophical. You want to learn, and you want to use what you learn. You may read more widely than usual, take up a new course of study, engage with content that broadens your understanding of a field you care about, or seek out conversations with people who have broader experience or wisdom than your usual circle. Interactions with teachers, advisors, mentors, or authority figures in your field become more frequent and more meaningful. If you have been looking for guidance or a conversation with someone who can give you a broader perspective on your situation, this transit creates the natural opening for those interactions. Mercury also rules your 12th house of foreign lands, spiritual matters, and things hidden or behind the scenes. When Mercury carries this 12th house energy into the 9th house, the themes of foreign connection and deeper learning become especially prominent. Written or digital communication with people in other countries, interaction with people from different cultural backgrounds, and the possibility of travel to a foreign location or a place of spiritual or educational significance are all active themes of this transit. Long-distance communication in particular can pick up noticeably, and opportunities that come from overseas or from connections outside your usual geographic or cultural sphere are well supported. At the beginning of the transit from May 29th, Venus and Jupiter are briefly in Gemini alongside Mercury, creating a Sarasvati Yoga in your 9th house. For Libra, a 3 benefic conjunction in the House of Fortune and Higher Wisdom is a genuinely meaningful short window. Those opening days of the transit carry an elevated quality for learning, connection with a wise or experienced person, outreach to foreign or distant connections, and engagement with any opportunity that comes through an educational or philosophical channel. If a door opens during this short window that connects you to a broader world, treat it seriously rather than casually. From June 15th, the Sun moves into Gemini and joins Mercury in your 9th house. The Sun in the 9th is traditionally associated with the blessings of teachers, long journeys, and good fortune. With Mercury alongside it, your ability to communicate about your area of knowledge with confidence and authority is strong during this final week of the transit. This is a particularly good window for publishing written work, giving a talk or presentation, teaching or training others, or establishing your authority within a knowledge-based professional field. Communications with people who carry institutional authority or who occupy a guru or senior role in your life are also supported. Rahu in Aquarius aspects your 9th house throughout this transit, adding a forward-pushing, ambitious quality to your desire for knowledge and world-broadening experiences. Aquarius is your 5th house for Libra, and Rahu from the 5th house aspects the 9th. This combination amplifies your intellectual curiosity and may draw you toward unconventional teachers, alternative belief systems, or cutting-edge ideas that challenge more traditional approaches. For Libra individuals working in international fields, publishing, education, or media, this Rahu influence on the 9th adds genuine momentum to those pursuits and can bring in connections or opportunities from unexpected directions. Professionally, Mercury in the 9th house supports work that involves higher learning, publishing, education, training, international dealings, legal or philosophical matters, or any field that benefits from broad and well-informed thinking. If your work has an international dimension, expect that dimension to become more active and productive during this transit. Long-distance communications, foreign clients, or opportunities that come through connections in other countries are all supported. This is also a strong period for any professional activity that involves publishing, presenting research, or positioning yourself as a knowledgeable voice in your area of expertise. Financially, the 9th house is associated with fortune and good timing. Mercury transiting here does not guarantee sudden windfalls, but it does create conditions where informed decisions and well-timed communication can produce financially positive outcomes. Since Mercury also rules the 12th house, awareness of expenses related to travel, education, or spiritual pursuits is natural during this period. Balancing investment in learning and experience with practical financial management is the right approach. In personal relationships, the 9th house transit creates a desire for more depth and genuine meaning in your interactions. Conversations about ideas, beliefs, life direction, and broader visions hold more appeal than small talk or routine exchanges. A partner or close friend who can engage with you intellectually and philosophically will be particularly valued during these weeks. Health-wise, the 9th house is traditionally associated with good fortune and overall protection. There is no specific health concern tied to this transit placement, though Mercury carrying 12th house energy means that adequate sleep and recovery time should not be taken for granted during periods of heavy mental activity. Overall, this Mercury transit in Gemini is a knowledge, connection, and horizon-expanding period for Libra. Your mind wants to stretch beyond the immediate and the familiar. Engage with that impulse through learning, seeking out wise people, reaching toward broader or foreign connections, and communicating your knowledge with genuine confidence. The opening window with the 3-planet combination in the 9th house is particularly valuable and worth making active use of. For Scorpio, Gemini is your 8th house. Mercury rules your 8th house with Gemini and your 11th house with Virgo. The 8th house is the house of transformation, sudden or unexpected events, hidden matters, occult and deep knowledge, joint finances, insurance, inheritance, research, and the deeper psychological dimensions of experience. Mercury transiting its own sign in the 8th house creates an intensely curious and investigative quality in your thinking during these few weeks. You want to dig beneath the surface, uncover information that is not immediately apparent, and understand things at a level that ordinary surface-level inquiry does not satisfy. Mercury in the 8th house makes your thinking psychologically sharp and analytically penetrating. You are not satisfied with straightforward or face-value answers during this period. You want the underlying reasoning, the hidden motivations, the fine-print details. This makes you an exceptionally effective researcher, investigator, or analyst during this transit. If your work involves research, intelligence gathering, financial analysis, medical investigation, legal work, psychology, or any subject that requires uncovering what is not immediately visible, you will find this period unusually productive. Your ability to connect information that others miss, to read between the lines, and to see the full picture where others see only part of it is at a seasonal high. The 11th house energy that Mercury carries into the 8th adds a financial dimension that is specific and important for Scorpio during this transit. The 11th house governs income and gains, and when Mercury brings this into the 8th house, the mind becomes particularly active around shared finances, joint investments, insurance matters, partner resources, and other people's money. If there are financial arrangements with a partner, a business entity, a shared account, or a family inheritance matter that need to be reviewed, negotiated, or restructured, this is a good period to engage with those matters with the analytical clarity Mercury in Gemini provides. These subjects can feel complicated or emotionally charged, but Mercury in its own sign cuts through that complexity with practical intelligence. At the start of the transit from May 29th, Venus and Jupiter are briefly in Gemini alongside Mercury, creating a Sarasvati Yoga in your 8th house. A benefic 3-planet conjunction in the 8th house is subtle but meaningful. It does not produce dramatic outward results, but it does create a supportive quality for deep learning, the uncovering of genuinely useful information, and a sense that transformation happening during this period is guided and purposeful rather than chaotic or unsettling. Financial matters related to joint resources, insurance, or a legacy matter that surface during these early days carry a constructive quality, and can be resolved with better outcomes than usual. From June 15th, the Sun moves into Gemini and joins Mercury in your 8th house. The Sun in the 8th can feel intensely focused and somewhat stripped of unnecessary social performance, as the 8th house demands real engagement rather than surface presentation. With Mercury alongside it, your ability to communicate about complex, sensitive, and deeply important subjects is at a high. This is a strong window for discussions about joint financial matters, legal arrangements, insurance, estate-related subjects, or any conversation that requires addressing something that has been avoided. Your mental clarity and directness during this final week of the transit helps you cut through complexity rather than circling around it. Rahu in Aquarius aspects your 8th house throughout this transit. Aquarius is your 4th house for Scorpio, and Rahu from the 4th house aspects the 8th through its 5th aspect. This amplifies the mysterious, unconventional, and investigative qualities of the 8th house during this period. You may be drawn toward unusual subjects like advanced financial strategies, astrology, psychology, occult learning, or investigation into something that has been quietly unresolved. Rahu in the 8th by aspect also means that some sudden or unexpected development related to shared finances, a joint resource, or information that was previously hidden may come to light. Stay alert, stay informed, and approach what surfaces with practical engagement rather than anxiety. Professionally, Mercury in the 8th house supports work that involves depth, research, analysis, and the responsible handling of sensitive or complex information. Financial advisors, tax professionals, investigators, psychologists, researchers, surgeons, counselors, occult practitioners, and those working in insurance, legal fields, or estate management all benefit from this transit. Even in other fields, your analytical capacity and strategic thinking are significantly sharpened. If there are complex professional problems to solve, challenging projects to work through, or matters that require digging through detailed information, this is the transit period where your mind is best equipped for that kind of work. Financially, the 8th house transit is specifically about other people's money and shared financial structures. Mercury as 11th lord transiting here means that income or gain-related discussions connected to joint ventures, partner finances, institutional financial matters, or a legacy or inheritance situation are active during this period. This is a good time to review the terms of any shared financial arrangement with the analytical precision Mercury in Gemini provides and to ensure that your interests are clearly represented. The caution is around speculative financial activity, as the 8th house carries inherent unpredictability regardless of Mercury's sign strength. In personal relationships, Mercury in the 8th house naturally moves conversations below the surface. You are not drawn to small talk during this transit. You want depth, honesty, and genuine understanding in your interactions. For romantic relationships, this can bring a period of real emotional honesty and deeper intimacy for couples willing to go there together. For professional relationships, you can see through pretense more easily and will be less patient with anything that feels superficial. Health-wise, Mercury in the 8th can surface awareness of chronic or deep-seated health concerns that deserve proper investigation. If something physical has been present for a while without full clarity, this is a practical period to research it and get a clear medical picture. Overall, this Mercury transit in Gemini is a research, depth, and joint financial management period for Scorpio. Your thinking is at its most penetrating, your analytical ability is strong, and the intelligent handling of complex, hidden, or shared matters is well supported. Use these weeks for the kind of deep, focused thinking and investigation that produces real and lasting clarity. For Sagittarius, Gemini is your 7th house. Mercury rules both your 7th house with Gemini and your 10th house with Virgo. The 7th house is the house of marriage, romantic partnerships, business partnerships, clients, contracts, and all forms of one-to-one relationships. With Mercury transiting its own sign in the 7th house, these few weeks are oriented around your partnerships, the communication within them, and your ability to negotiate, collaborate, and engage effectively with the most important people in your personal and professional life. Mercury in the 7th house makes your relationship communications noticeably more active and intellectually engaged. Conversations with your spouse or romantic partner become more frequent and more purposeful. You want to talk things through, exchange ideas about important matters, and work through decisions together. If there have been topics left undiscussed in your relationship, Mercury transiting the 7th house creates the natural opening for those conversations to happen. In its own sign, Mercury gives you the fluency and clarity to address what might otherwise feel difficult to articulate, making this a productive time for honest relational dialogue. For Sagittarius individuals with a professional focus, Mercury in the 7th is a strong period for client communications, business negotiations, and interactions with partners, collaborators, or counterparts in any kind of formal arrangement. Your ability to present your position clearly, actively listen, and find mutually workable outcomes is enhanced. Contract discussions, partnership agreements, and collaborative proposals are all well supported by Mercury's communicative precision in the 7th house. If you have been working toward closing a partnership arrangement or finalizing a client agreement, moving forward during this transit is well timed. Mercury also rules your 10th house of career and professional reputation. When it carries this energy into the 7th house, the professional dimension of your partnerships becomes active and relevant. Meetings with career-significant people, discussions with a boss or authority figure about your professional path, and important one-to-one professional conversations about direction and advancement are all highlighted. There is a practical, career-oriented quality to many of your key relationship interactions during this period, and the impressions you make in those one-to-one professional settings carry weight. At the beginning of the transit from May 29th, Venus and Jupiter are briefly in Gemini alongside Mercury, creating a Sarasvati Yoga in your 7th house. For Sagittarius, having a 3 benefic combination right in the house of partnerships is a genuinely favorable short window for relationship matters of all kinds. Conversations initiated during those opening days carry warmth, generosity, and a quality that makes them more productive than usual. If you are working on a business partnership, a contract negotiation, or a meaningful personal conversation with your partner, engaging during the late May to early June window benefits from the elevated planetary combination. From June 15th, the Sun moves into Gemini and joins Mercury in your 7th house. The Sun in the 7th can create a dynamic where the strength of your own personality needs to be balanced carefully with the needs and perspective of your partner or counterpart. With Mercury alongside the Sun, the intelligent management of that directness becomes more possible. Be confident and clear in your communication during this phase, but remain genuinely open to what the other person is saying. Conversations that involve a significant personal or professional decision can be handled effectively during this window, but directness should not slide into dominance. Rahu in Aquarius aspects your 7th house throughout this transit. Aquarius is your 3rd house for Sagittarius, and Rahu from the 3rd house aspects the 7th through its 5th aspect. Rahu's influence on the 7th house adds intensity, unconventional energy, and a slightly unpredictable quality to partnership dynamics. New connections formed during this period can feel unusually compelling. For those in existing relationships, some restlessness or a desire for something new within the partnership dynamic can surface. This energy is useful when directed into genuine new conversations, shared projects, or a fresh direction taken together with your partner rather than letting it create unnecessary instability. Professionally, Mercury in the 7th is particularly strong for roles that are inherently one-to-one or client-facing. Consultants, lawyers, advisors, coaches, therapists, salespeople, and anyone in a role where individual relationships and negotiations drive results will find this transit especially productive. Your ability to connect, communicate, and create agreement with the people you work alongside or serve is at a seasonal high. Even outside these fields, the important one-to-one professional interactions you need to have are best scheduled during this transit window. Financially, Mercury as 10th Lord transiting the 7th can link career-based income directly to the deals, partnerships, and client relationships you manage during this period. If your income is tied to the agreements you close or the clients you serve, this is a strong financial window. Business negotiations, contract terms, and discussions about fees, pricing, or income-sharing arrangements are all supported by Mercury's clarity and articulateness in the 7th. In personal life, the 7th house activation by Mercury naturally increases the conversational and intellectual dimension of your closest relationships. Spending time in genuine discussion with your partner rather than just managing the logistics of shared life is particularly rewarding during this transit. A partner who can engage you mentally is especially appreciated. Health-wise, this transit does not carry a specific health concern for Sagittarius. The primary energy of this period is relational and communicative rather than physically demanding. Overall, this Mercury transit in Gemini is a partnership, communication, and professional relationship period for Sagittarius. Your ability to connect, negotiate, and communicate clearly with the important people in your professional and personal life is at a seasonal high. Use these weeks to have the important conversations, close the significant agreements, and invest in the partnerships that matter most. For Capricorn, Gemini is your 6th house. Mercury rules your 6th house with Gemini and your 9th house with Virgo. The 6th house governs daily work and routines, service, competition and opponents, workplace dynamics, health maintenance, and the effort required to overcome obstacles and challenges. Mercury transiting its own sign in the 6th house is a sharp, precise, and strategically intelligent placement for Capricorn. Your thinking during this period turns toward practical problem solving, managing your daily workload more efficiently, dealing with competitive or difficult situations through intelligence rather than brute effort, and taking a more analytical approach to health and day-to-day routines. Mercury in the 6th house gives you a tactical sharpness in communication that is especially useful when dealing with conflict, competition, or workplace challenges. Your ability to articulate your position precisely, anticipate counterarguments, and respond with well-organized clarity is at a high. If there are ongoing workplace disputes, difficult colleagues or clients, legal or contractual matters needing to be addressed, or professional challenges that require careful negotiation, this is one of the better periods in the year to deal with them directly. Your words carry a competent, calculated quality that is hard to dismiss, and the clarity of your thinking gives you an edge in any situation that involves some form of competition or conflict resolution. The 9th house energy that Mercury carries into the 6th adds an important quality to the problem-solving picture. The 9th house governs higher learning, mentors, broader wisdom, and fortune. When Mercury brings this energy into the 6th house of obstacles and daily work, your approach to challenges becomes more informed and principled. You are not just reacting to problems. You are researching solutions, drawing on broader knowledge and experience, and applying well-considered judgment to practical situations. This is also a period where guidance from a mentor or a timely piece of advice from someone with more experience in your field can directly help you navigate a professional challenge more effectively. Seeking that input is worth the effort. The 6th house also governs daily health habits and physical maintenance. Mercury transiting here in Gemini makes you significantly more analytical and attentive about your physical well-being. You will think about health more deliberately, research approaches to improving your fitness, diet, or any specific health concern that has been present, and make more calculated decisions about daily wellness practices. If there is a health matter that has been getting by without full attention, the sharp Mercury energy in the 6th makes this a genuinely practical period to research it thoroughly, read carefully about it, and take it to a professional for clear information and guidance. At the beginning of the transit from May 29th, Venus and Jupiter are briefly in Gemini alongside Mercury, creating a Sarasvati Yoga in your 6th house. A benefic 3-planet combination in the 6th house is actually a very practically useful placement for Capricorn. The presence of these 3 planets together briefly reduces the harshness of ongoing competitive or workplace challenges and brings a more constructive quality to the situations you are navigating. Resolutions to workplace conflicts, favorable outcomes in competitive situations, positive health-related information, or a smoother handling of daily work challenges can emerge during this short window in late May and the opening days of June. From June 15th, the Sun moves into Gemini and joins Mercury in your 6th house. The Sun in the 6th is a strong indicator of professional performance, physical vitality, and the ability to outperform competition. With Mercury alongside it, your ability to communicate your professional competence, engage clearly with authority figures at work, handle formal professional correspondence, and demonstrate your capability through focused, consistently good work is at a high. This final week of the transit is particularly effective for dealing with administrative matters, institutional communications, or any formal conversation that requires presenting your qualifications and standing clearly. Rahu in Aquarius aspects your 6th house throughout this transit. Aquarius is your 2nd house for Capricorn, and Rahu from the 2nd house aspects the 6th through its 5th aspect. This amplifies the competitive and service dimensions of the 6th house and connects financial themes from the 2nd house to the daily work and competition themes of the 6th. You may encounter unexpected competition from unusual directions, or find that financial matters and workplace performance become entangled in ways that require simultaneous attention. Being sharp both financially and strategically at work during this period is the practical response to this influence. Professionally, this transit is particularly supportive for Capricorn individuals in any role requiring precision, analytical skill, detailed problem solving, or high-quality service delivery. Medical professionals, legal advisors, analysts, administrative professionals, quality control experts, and anyone whose work involves managing complex systems or detailed information will benefit strongly. Your ability to identify what is not working, improve processes, and communicate technical or detailed information with clarity is noticeably higher than usual. Even across all fields, the 6th house Mercury transit makes you a more efficient and effective version of yourself at work. Financially, Mercury as 9th lord transiting the 6th house can bring income through service-based effort and consistent professional performance. The improvement in how you handle daily work during this period has indirect financial benefits that build over time. The 9th lord in the 6th also suggests income through advisory work, education-based services, or roles that involve sharing expertise in a practical, applied context. Managing day-to-day expenses is also on your mind, and the analytical quality of Mercury in the 6th makes this a practical time to review your spending, cut unnecessary costs, and tighten your financial routines. In personal relationships, the 6th house Mercury transit is more practically than romantically oriented. Conversations tend to center on tasks, responsibilities, and daily shared life. Making a conscious effort to engage beyond logistics with the people who matter most to you is worthwhile, as Mercury in the 6th can make communications efficient, but occasionally impersonal. Overall, this Mercury transit in Gemini is a precision, problem-solving, and health awareness period for Capricorn. Your mind is sharp, your competitive instincts are well-informed, and your ability to navigate challenges through intelligent, clearly communicated strategy is at a seasonal high. Use these weeks to address the difficult conversations and professional obstacles that have been waiting for the right moment. For Aquarius, Gemini is your 5th house. Mercury rules your 5th house with Gemini and your 8th house with Virgo. The 5th house governs education, creativity, children, intelligence, self-expression, romance, and the activities you pursue for personal joy and creative fulfillment. With Mercury transiting its own sign in the 5th house, your intellectual energy, creative thinking, and love of learning are all activated in a particularly strong and enjoyable way during these few weeks. Mercury in the 5th house makes your mind playful, curious, and creatively engaged. You want to learn things, explore ideas, work on creative projects, and express your intelligence in ways that feel personally satisfying rather than merely obligatory. This is an excellent period for students, as the ability to absorb information, analyze material, retain knowledge, and communicate it clearly is noticeably enhanced. If you are preparing for any kind of examination, presentation, academic performance, or intellectual challenge, this transit is working in your favor. The mind is quick, the interest in the material is genuine, and the capacity to apply what you learn is strong. For those in creative fields, Mercury in the 5th in Gemini is a naturally productive period. Writers, designers, content creators, educators, trainers, and anyone whose work involves generating ideas or expressing them in a clear and engaging way will find the mental flow noticeably easier. Projects that require brainstorming, concept development, or translating a creative vision into words or organized form are particularly well-served. Ideas come more freely, the ability to express them precisely is enhanced, and the overall quality of creative output is higher than in more mentally sluggish periods. Mercury also rules your 8th house of hidden matters, deep research, shared finances, and transformation. When Mercury carries this 8th house energy into the 5th house, your intellectual curiosity takes on a deeper dimension than the 5th house alone would provide. You are not just interested in surface-level information. You want to understand the underlying mechanics of things, the hidden patterns, the deeper structures beneath what is visible. This period combines the 5th house love of learning with the 8th house love of depth and investigation, creating a period of genuinely enriched intellectual exploration. Curiosity about subjects like psychology, astrology, financial structures, research methodologies, or any area of hidden knowledge is likely and well-channeled during this transit. At the start of the transit from May 29th, Venus and Jupiter are briefly in Gemini alongside Mercury, creating a Sarasvati Yoga in your 5th house. For Aquarius, having this 3-planet combination in the house of creativity and intelligence is one of the most intellectually and creatively inspired short windows of the year. The combined energy of Jupiter's wisdom, Venus's aesthetic refinement, and Mercury's communicative precision in the house of creativity produces a genuinely elevated quality of thinking and expression. Any creative work, educational initiative, or intellectually ambitious project started or significantly advanced during these opening days of the transit benefits from this exceptional combination. From June 15th, the Sun moves into Gemini and joins Mercury in your 5th house. The Sun in the 5th brings confidence and a strong personal voice to your intellectual and creative work. With Mercury alongside it, you communicate your ideas with more conviction, are more willing to put your creative output in front of others, and carry a visible solar quality in your self-expression. This second phase of the transit is particularly good for sharing creative work publicly, presenting ideas to a wider audience, stepping into a teaching or mentoring role, or any activity where your intellectual confidence and ability to communicate clearly in a public or visible context matters. Rahu in Aquarius sits in your 1st house and aspects your 5th house through its 5th aspect throughout this entire transit. Rahu's influence on the 5th house adds intensity, ambition, and an unconventional edge to your creative and intellectual pursuits. You may find yourself drawn toward unusual fields of knowledge, cutting-edge subjects, or creative approaches that break from tradition. The desire to stand out intellectually or creatively is strong during this period, and combined with Mercury in Gemini in the 5th house, this can produce genuinely original ideas and creative work that reflects your individual vision. The practical caution with Rahu is to remain focused enough to complete what you begin rather than jumping between too many fascinating directions. Professionally, Mercury in the 5th house supports careers that involve creativity, education, or intellectual contribution. Teachers, trainers, writers, coaches, analysts, content creators, creative directors, and anyone in a role that requires original thinking and clear intellectual expression will benefit strongly during this transit. Even in other professional contexts, the quality of your ideas, your ability to make complex subjects accessible and engaging, and your overall intellectual contribution to your work is higher than usual. This is a good period to take on intellectually challenging projects, or to propose creative solutions to professional problems. In terms of romance and children, the 5th house is the natural house of these themes. Mercury transiting here increases the conversational and intellectually engaged dimension of romantic interactions. If you are in a relationship, conversations become more playful, curious, and enjoyable. If you are single, the 5th house Mercury transit can bring connections with people who are intellectually stimulating and genuinely interesting. Children in your life may be a source of particularly active and enjoyable interaction during this period. Financially, Mercury as 8th Lord transiting the 5th means that speculative financial matters and investment thinking are active. This is a period of analytical financial thinking, where you are researching investment options, studying financial instruments, and making calculated decisions about where to put your money. The 8th house energy cautions against reckless speculation, but Mercury's own sign strength supports intelligent, well-researched financial decision-making. Overall, this Mercury transit in Gemini is a creative, educational, and intellectually expansive period for Aquarius. Your mind is at its most curious and generative. Engage fully with what it wants to explore during these weeks. For Pisces, Gemini is your 4th house. Mercury rules both your 4th house with Gemini and your 7th house with Virgo. The 4th house governs home, family, the mother, emotional security, your inner foundation, real estate, and the private domestic world. With Mercury transiting its own sign in the 4th house, your thinking during this period turns significantly toward home and family matters, conversations within the household, and decisions or planning related to your domestic life and living situation. Mercury in the 4th house makes the home a center of communication and mental activity. There will be noticeably more conversations at home during this period, more engagement with family matters that require thinking through and discussing, and a higher level of mental involvement in whatever is happening in your domestic environment. If decisions about the home have been pending, whether related to property, living arrangements, renovation, household management, or family planning, this transit creates the mental clarity and conversational openness to address them. Mercury in its own sign in the 4th house brings practical intelligence and ease of expression to subjects that often get avoided because they feel complicated or emotionally charged. Mercury also rules your 7th house of partnerships and marriage. When Mercury carries the 7th house energy into the 4th house, the themes of relationship and domestic life become closely intertwined. Conversations at home with a spouse or partner about relationship dynamics, shared domestic responsibilities, financial arrangements, or future plans together are very likely during this transit. The home becomes the setting for important relationship dialogue. Mercury in Gemini here gives you the words and the analytical clarity to have those conversations productively rather than letting them spiral into emotional complexity. For those who are married or living with a partner, this is a period where domestic communication and relationship communication are naturally one and the same. The 4th house also represents your emotional foundation and inner life. Mercury transiting here activates a more reflective quality in your thinking, where you are gathering information about your own emotional needs and thinking carefully about what genuinely provides you with stability and security. You may read about topics connected to home, family history, childhood dynamics, or psychological well-being. Conversations with your mother or a maternal figure can be particularly significant during this transit, as the mother is the primary living representation of the 4th house in Vedic astrology. At the beginning of the transit from May 29th, Venus and Jupiter are briefly in Gemini alongside Mercury, creating a Sarasvati Yoga in your 4th house. A 3-benefic combination in the house of home and family is a warmly positive short window. The atmosphere at home during these opening days of the transit is more harmonious, generous, and intellectually engaged than usual. Family gatherings, meaningful conversations with parents within the home, and any creative or educational activity done within your domestic space carry a special quality during this brief period. Property-related discussions or real estate decisions that come up during this window benefit from Jupiter's wisdom and Venus's aesthetic judgment, alongside Mercury's clarity. From June 15th, the Sun enters Gemini and joins Mercury in your 4th house. The Sun in the 4th can bring a more authoritative, assertive quality into family dynamics, particularly in relation to a father figure or a strong personality within the family. With Mercury alongside it, communications within the home are more direct and forthright during this final week of the transit. Important family conversations that have been skirted around may surface clearly now, and addressing them honestly rather than passively is the right approach. The Sun in the 4th also brings a surge of energy and initiative to anything related to your physical home, such as renovation projects, real estate decisions, or meaningful changes to your living environment. Rahu in Aquarius aspects your 4th house throughout this transit. Aquarius is your 12th house for Pisces, and Rahu from the 12th house aspects the 4th through its 5th aspect. This adds an unconventional, change-seeking energy to your domestic situation. You may feel a desire to transform something about your home environment, explore a different kind of living arrangement, or bring something new and different into your domestic life. Some Pisces individuals may experience a tension between the desire for a stable emotional home base and a restless pull toward change. Mercury's own sign clarity in the 4th helps you think through what kind of change is genuinely needed versus what is just Rahu-driven restlessness. Professionally, Mercury in the 4th house is not primarily a career-active transit, but it does support work that is done from home, work related to property or real estate, and work involving family businesses or services connected to the home environment. If you work remotely, this transit creates a productive and mentally engaged home-based work environment. The 7th house energy Mercury carries also means that professional partnership matters may occasionally enter the home setting, such as discussions with a business partner that happen in a domestic context. Financially, the 4th house transit with Mercury as 7th lord can bring financial discussions related to property, shared assets with a partner, home-based expenses, or a jointly owned resource into focus. Real estate research, property investment analysis, or decisions about home-related spending are mentally active areas during this period. Mercury in its own sign provides the clarity to make well-informed rather than emotionally reactive financial decisions in these areas. In terms of personal relationships, the overlap between 4th and 7th house energies makes this a period where home and partnership are closely linked. Conversations about cohabitation, family planning, shared domestic goals, or the future of a committed relationship are natural and productive topics. Health-wise, the 4th house governs emotional well-being and the chest area physically. Mercury transiting here with its active communication energy can create a level of mental busyness and emotional processing that requires real quiet time to balance. Giving yourself genuine moments of stillness and mental rest away from the active domestic communication of this period is important for sustaining your overall well-being. Overall, this Mercury transit in Gemini is a home, family, and partnership communication period for Pisces. Your thinking is centered on what makes you feel emotionally secure and domestically grounded. Conversations at home carry greater significance, and the interplay between domestic and relationship themes creates a full and engaged inner and outer life during these weeks. Mercury in its own sign brings the intelligence and clarity needed to navigate all of this productively. As we conclude this episode, please keep in mind that these insights are based on the sidereal zodiac system used in Vedic astrology, which differs from the tropical system by approximately 24 degrees. These are general predictions. The real impact depends on your dasha cycles and your individual birth chart. For a personalized analysis or consultation, feel free to reach out. If you found this video valuable, please like, share, subscribe, and turn on notifications. And now, you can also hype this video to boost it within the community. Your support helps this knowledge reach more people who may benefit. Thank you for watching. Stay aware, keep learning, and keep shining bright.